Hi, everybody, John Cena here, and welcome to possibly the fastest ever person that we've had on FunkQuest. And as a fan, I'm asking loads of fan questions. And if you're an existing listener to the show, you're probably thinking, hang on, John, why is there only one person on the show and not two? That's because it's my show, my rules, and I wanted to get this person all to myself. I can ask all the fanboy questions that I want to. And there's going to be a 2-minute time limit per question, not one. Okay, so with that said, Deena, can you tell me who you are and where are you dialing in from?
Hi, Deena Kastor. I'm an Olympic medalist and former American record holder, former world record holder, and I am calling from Mammoth Lakes, California. It's a resort town in Central California.
Fantastic. Well, you've just described what you do in 10 words or less. I don't think anybody's said it as well as that. So, rules of the show, normal rules apply, no swearing, no politics, and no religion. For the purposes of new listeners, where have you been? What's the point of having all these shows? You've got to go listen to all these back episodes now, and your life's not going to be complete until you do so. So, without any further ado, you can pick a blue-headed parrot, some library books, some boots, or some young lady runners.
I like books. Let's go for books.
First question, who was your best sponsor?
Oh, ASICS. It's a Japanese-based shoe corporation. They have been my sponsor for 21 years, and I feel really grateful for that. ASICS is an acronym, a Latin acronym, Anima Sana Incorpore Sano, or a sound mind and a sound body. And I have lived that lifestyle ever since connecting to the brand. So I am ever grateful for that partnership.
How do they approach you? How do they approach you? And you said 20 what years? How did they ring you up and say, hi, we want you to run in our shoes? How did that happen?
Great question, Jonathan. I approached them because I bought a pair of their shoes. I was sponsored by another company, but I was slipping all over the icy roads in Akron, Ohio, visiting my in-laws. And I just decided I need to buy a pair of shoes that have a better stability if I was going to train there for 10 days. And so I tried on these shoes, the DS trainer, fell in love with them, and had my manager, Ray Flynn, who happens to have had the Irish record in the 1500 and the mile for more than 40 years. I called him up and said, this is the brand I want to represent. I love them. And it has been a great partnership ever since.
So you just ring up and say, hi, Olympic marathon runner here, has about some trainers. They just send you a box full and say, take your pick. Does it work like that?
But at the time, I was only a national champion. I shouldn't say only a national champion. I hadn't earned the ranks of world records, American records, Olympic medals, or major marathon wins. It wasn't until I was in their shoes that I was able to do that. And I really believe in your products, and I would love a chance to represent you. And my agent took care of all the financials that go behind the scenes, but I really do feel like the relationship has lasted so long because I really believe in the product.
Next question, you can pick a loaded up camel, a camera, a castle on top of a mountain, or an alarm clock.
I'm going to go with the camel.
Camel. What was your pathway into elite sport?
Oh, I think I started running at 11 years old and really found myself after failing miserably at a lot of other sports like American soccer and ice skating and softball. When I started running, I really fell in love with it. It happened to be the same year that American Joan Benoit Samuelson won the first ever gold medal in the Olympic marathon for women. I ended up running in college, and post-collegiately was trying to decide whether I wanted to give running a last go or open up a bakery. And I felt like the right people came into my life and really allowed me to believe that I had more in me. And luckily, I got into the hands of a renowned coach, Joe Vigil, who was such a great mentor and let me believe that my wildest dreams could come true if I was patient and applied myself. And so that sparked a belief that better was to come. And I got to work making sure that came to fruition. And so I spent about 15 years in the sport, improving every single season I was out there running personal best. And I feel grateful to have had the people in my life to allow me to believe that that was possible.
So you said they're like patience. I think it's quite a thing. Everybody wants it today. Everybody wants the Saturday morning TV version. 15 years is quite a long time to be going around the track. You've not made it onto the road scene at this point.
Right. And I think it's important to improve in increments. Like we could celebrate every day if that were the case, right? We can get out there and put in the work, put in the miles. And I think it was Confucius that said, if you want to move mountains, start by moving one stone at a time. And so I think that that can be applied to anyone striving in sport and in life, that if we want to tackle really big things, it starts with incremental steps. And it was a really important lesson to draw upon, and made me realize that after my personal bests are behind me, I can continue to improve myself, my character through the sport, and not just wasn't just what the clock said.
Do you still tap up your old coaches for advice at any point?
Absolutely. I surround myself with people who are much smarter than I am, so I can get the best advice possible in all of life's situations.
Excellent, good stuff. Question 3: some roast potatoes, 2 young ladies in purple dresses, an elephant family, or a blazing fire?
Oh, potatoes sound delicious right now with like some scrambled eggs on the side. I'm going with potatoes.
Potatoes. What is the stupidest thing you've ever seen?
Oh, okay. That's so easy. I was in the town of Leuven, Belgium, and there was a sign, because I see a sign right here, and it was nothing in the center of it. And it had a circle with a line through it, and then another line through that. And we stood there pondering it and thought, don't not do nothing? Like, what does that mean? Don't not do nothing. I can't handle all the negatives within that sign. So I just walked along, not understanding it. And I might have been trespassing or doing the wrong thing, but I'll never know.
I've heard it said that people at the front of the race, which I wouldn't actually know, do you wake up thinking I might go the wrong way? Do you wake up thinking, what happens if the lead motorbike goes the wrong way? Or what does that go through your head?
Yeah, luckily I have faith in the lead vehicles and lead bikes that they wouldn't steer me off course. And if I'm not in the lead, I pretty much just blindly follow those in front of me. So I tend to take that out of the equation and focus on what is in my control, like pace and getting my fluids. The monotony of it is pace, fluids, tangents, pace, fluids, tangents.
What do you think, right? So you're going to win the race, and you know that the TV, what are you thinking about? Are you blocking it all out? Are you thinking, God, I don't fall over? What are you thinking about? You've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever to win the whole thing with 40,000 people behind you.
That's all about mustering the strength of all your training, the belief that you have it in you to run faster, that you always have more to give. Even when doubt creeps in, you can twist your thoughts and go back to that place of belief that you're going to cross that finish line, number one. So, when the going gets tough in anything, you start to have conflict and doubt and insecurities, but it's our job to make sure that those 6 inches above our shoulders are always advocating and cheerleading for what we're trying to accomplish.
Fantastic answer. Good stuff. Next question. You can pick an old-fashioned first aid tin, some purple flowers, a tractor, or some posh green grey living room type seats.
I'm going with the tractor. I like hard work, and farmers are the epitome of that.
The tractor. Which opponent do you or did you most admire?
I never ran against Joan Benoit Samuelson, but I definitely think that I have looked up to her for so long. That 11-year-old girl who hadn't started running yet, sitting in my parents' living room watching her win the gold medal. Aside from that, I feel like what she has given back to the sport has been even greater. She was just at the Chicago Marathon. She was in the London Marathon. She ran 3 hours and 20 minutes in the London Marathon. And for a 60-year-old woman, that is just astonishing.
That is shifting.
Yeah, and so I just think she's eternal in this sport, and so I continue to admire her. And when we find each other on the roads and get some miles in, whether we're traveling or in a 5K race before the marathon, a lot of races are doing that. I could feel her competitive spirit even to this day. So just tenacious, but also really grateful to be in a sport that has such a huge impact on the lives of so many.
So that would have been 1984 Olympics, Los Angeles, wasn't it? The first proper TV Olympics.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah, and I suppose that we can't underestimate how much would that have been. The American icon gets beamed into all American living rooms. for the first time ever. It's hard to say now with social media and all that stuff, but it's hard to estimate how much that must have had impact on a whole generation of American kids.
Absolutely, and not just women. It's for the masses. When we see these heroic achievements in sport, it's why so many of us tune in to the Olympics and to the Commonwealth Games and to World Championships events, is because it really does inspire us to see these athletes striving. And in this day and age, so many records falling every single weekend at major marathons. It's just a really exciting time to be a fan of the sport.
So who'd win in a 5K, you or Joan?
I don't know. Let's set up a match.
We'd have to we've got to live stream it. Let's see if we could figure it out. I don't know how I could do that. But
I will be there. And if Joan doesn't show up, she forfeited.
You win by walkover. Yeah. So final question. You can pick a winter bird wrapped up, a Spitfire plane, a basket of pink roses, or a white duck on a log.
I'm going to go with the bird because winter's coming and I feel really excited about it.
What really happens in the locker room?
I think what happens in the locker room pales in comparison to what happens on the run. The locker room, you kind of have to be proper because you don't know who's on the other side of the lockers, who's on the locker aisle behind you. So I think more so it's what happens in the middle stages of a run when you're feeling tired and vulnerable and you start being a little more open in discussion. And so I always even encourage my teammates, like I have a really good story to tell from this past weekend at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, but I'm not telling it until we're at mile 10. So hang on. And we have really fun discussions aside from like going out into the woods to take a little bathroom break every once in a while. It's the discussions that are so rich in the middle of the run, and what happens and what's told in the middle of the run has to stay there. It can't come back onto a podcast and reveal those secrets.
Is that a thing then in top level? We just think it's almost like boxing where they just kind of psych each other out. Is there camaraderie or is it just business?
Oh, it's definitely camaraderie, even on a competitive level. I mean, when you're training with your teammates, it's definitely loads of support and encouragement happening. But even on the competitive stage, we fight when the gun goes off, but we're all in it together. We're in a sport that it just demands respect across the board, from the people that are breaking records at the front to the first time runner that's going to be coming in hours later. There's so much respect in this sport and appreciation for what goes into it, and encouraging people through the low moments and really celebrating their highs. And I think that's the beauty of this sport that many sports don't really have.
In terms of technology, how did you track your training at an elite level? No Strava, no GPS. Was it all on the track with a guy with a stopwatch? That basic?
No, and imagine how angry I was when I got my first GPS watch, and the 10-mile loop I used to do around Doe Ridge, I found out was 8.9 miles. So I really felt like, do I have to go back and change all of my training logs? A lot of my official training was marked with a survey wheel, and the rest of it was just kind of thinking that it was between 10 and 12 miles loops that we were doing here in the mountains. So maybe not so precise, but I also don't think GPSs are very precise either, that they don't catch every zig and zag on a mountain trail. So I feel like it was consistent, how the benchmarks were made of whether I was having an 80-mile week or 140-mile week was very consistent in the span of a buildup, because I would slowly incrementally build that mileage up.
So did you have certain routes, like around housing estates or whatever, mapped with a measuring wheel? Did you got that level of accuracy?
Yes, well, for the important sessions, I think for recovery runs, the most important thing is just to use it to recover and not actually try to get fitness gains, but get recovery gains on those days. And the days that were focused on fitness gains were all measured and precise.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Strava and all that kind of thing, just toys. Excellent. Deena, thanks so much for being on the show. I know you're busy. I know you're about to go for a run or you've been for a run. I know you've got a book and a podcast. How can we buy the book and listen to the podcast?
Yeah, my book is Let Your Mind Run, and it's all about the power of positivity and performance. So it's not just for athletes, it's for anybody that's striving and looking to get a mental edge on their accomplishments. And my new podcast, which intimidates the heck out of me, is called Marathon Talk. And my first guest next week is going to be Susanna Scaroni, who just won her very first Abbott World Marathon major in Chicago. She's a wheelchair athlete and an exceptional human being. So I look forward to chatting with her.
Oh, excellent. We'll listen in. So if you are listening to us on the bus or the train or the tram or commuting, please put Deena's podcast on your list. I know it's going to be good. Deena, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll take care. We'll speak soon.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks so much.